crafty friends, and welcome to day 4 of my holiday card series for 2019. On today's card, I am going to be using this super cute stamp by Unity Stamps. It is a cling mount stamp, and what these stamps are from a set that I purchased last year, part of a grab bag. So it included this beautiful snowflake and the snowman that you'll see me color later on. But I decided to grab this snowflake and stamp it multiple times onto my panel using my Versamark ink. You can see my ink pad there has been well loved, but it still works perfectly fine. Now I am going to be adding some embossing powder, and this is by Recollections, and it's called Snow. It is a beautiful kind of iridescent white color. You'll see once I heat set it how beautiful it looks. So here I am just tapping the excess off, again using my little coffee filter, and then so I can dump it back into the jar. Now I'm heat setting it, and you can see here the beautiful shine that it collects or that it creates. Now what I'm going to be doing here is just doing some ink blending, and I am using my Distress Oxide inks. These are just different blues that I have. I started with Tumble Glass, just adding a little bit or adding one layer to the center, and then I go back to add a little bit more of a darker color around it. So I'm using this second one here that's a little bit darker. I apologize, I forget the name of it. And I put the lid away from the camera, but maybe I'll show you guys later what it was. It is Broken China. I forget that one. And then I am using here, this one is called Faded Jeans, and I'm just using a little bit of it to do a little bit of a darker tone on the corners and just around the edges, because I wanted to make it look like there's a glow behind. So that's what I kind of did here. So now I am going to be stamping my image. And for this, I am using the Ranger Archival black ink. So I'm just pressing it down to make sure that it goes there. Right now, my desk is a mess, so I couldn't find my smaller stamping block, so I had to use this larger one. I'm also showing you here for these stamps what I did for them, so I can see what they, what the design is. I stamped them onto a piece of cardstock and glued it onto the little piece that you can peel back for the stamps. I decided to keep them like that, but I could probably find a better storage solution later on. But for right now, that's how they are. I do not have a lot of Unity stamps anyway, so that's how I started. Now I'm going to be watercoloring this image using my Zig Clean Color Real brush markers, and I just added a little bit of color to the snowman, and then I am blending it with my water brush. Again, this is just a very light of color, because I do want the snowman to be white because the snow's white, but I wanted them to have a little bit or a little hint of blue, so that way you can see that the color that there is a color. I did use a little bit of a blue, and then also I came back with a little bit of gray to add onto the little snowbanks or the little snow mountains, so that way I could add a little bit of color. Now, just to add some of the coloring, I'm going to be coloring the little scarf and then the little flowers. So I am just doing basic coloring. On some of them, I did go back and I ink blended, or I blended it out with my water brush, but not too much. Now, these water brushes that I am using, they're from Prima. However, I have let my kids use them, and I think that that I am ready to get a new pair of water brushes. With these ones, you can't really control how much the water that you have. So sometimes once I start using it or start blending, you can see a lot of water starts coming out. I don't know if that's because, the brush is already ruined, or that's usually how they work. But sometimes it's easier to work with just a regular brush and a little cup with water. But I wanted to go in a faster way to do the water brushes that way. So it worked out for what I was doing here. I do apologize that this video is a little bit late today. I know it's Tuesday night already, and I've had the video ready. I just had not had time to sit down and edit it, so that way I could, shorten it off for you. Though I tried to make it as short as I could either way, because I didn't want to, make the video too long. This is supposed to be a very easy, simple card that you can, create or recreate easily. Especially if you want to mass produce, this would be really cute because they do look really nice and they don't take a lot of work. You just have to sit down and color, which is probably something that I'll do. I'll just stamp a bunch of images and then come back and color. Now going towards the to finish my design at the end, you'll hear, since I'll be coloring right now, I'll explain to you. I did decide to fuzzy cut the image out, but the way I have it stamped, you could essentially use that as a mini frame or mini image and color the whole area. You can color the whole background or leave it like that, and then just mount it onto your card base or put some pattern paper on the background, and then you can call it a day. However, I did decide to fuzzy cut it so that way I could use that image differently. So here I'm pretty much done. I'm just going back to add color to whatever little sections that I am missing, just going back and making sure that things blend. But here you see I am going to start fuzzy cut it. I'm not going to show you the whole process because it's just fuzzy cutting, but it is therapeutic sometimes, though. Like I told you, if you're mass producing, this is probably not something that you're going to want to do too much, but this is a very simple shape, or the image is not too intricate, doesn't have a lot of little bits and areas that you need to cut around, so it worked out perfect. Now, a little tip, remember that it's best to move your paper, not your scissors, when you are cutting things out, so that way it makes it a little bit easier. But this is pretty much my card. I die cut the panel using my Ariel Wonky Stitches die. This is my favorite die to cut out, and you can see it leaves around a perfect little frame around it. And I am using a blue card base, so I am just going to glue it around. Again, I need to find my supplies right now. They're all over the place, but I am using regular art glitter glue here to glue it. It has been working really good for me, so I really like it. And I like how it's working, so I pretty much use it all the time where it stays right front and center on my desk. Now for the little image, I decided to pop it up with some foam tape. I love using foam tape. You guys see me using this again and again. And, it's just a nice way to add a little bit of dimension and interest to your cards. So here I'm just trying to decide the placement. Once I decide where these little snowmen are going to look best, I go ahead and press it down and they are going to be set. Now I wanted to add a sentiment, and I picked this sentiment. This is one of my favorites to use. It says Happy Christmas, and it is like a scripty handwriting. I love it. And this is a Ranger Dina Weekly stamp set, super cute, that is a little bit vintage. So I just did the sentiment, backed it with some red cardstock, and then mounted it onto the cardstock. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I hope to catch you guys on the next one. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.